Hello and welcome to the Intellark introduction video where we introduce Intellark to you. In this presentation, we will talk about the multilingual typist keyboarding problem. By multilingual, we mean the typist who type in any Latin-based alphabet layout such as English, French, or Spanish and wishes to type in an Arabic-based keyboard layout such as Arabic, Farsi, or Urdu. We talk about the concept of knowledge transfer and why it is important to typists. We present the typing in Arabic dilemma and mention some of the problems that are inherent in the current Arabic-based keyboard layouts. Finally, we introduce Intellark, Intellaren Arabic keyboard layout. Ever needed to type in Arabic one day but got discouraged by the available Arabic keyboard layouts? Did such layouts block you from typing and expressing yourself in Arabic the way you used to when typing in some other Latin-based language? We conducted oral surveys for several years among multilingual typists on their comfort with available Arabic keyboard layouts, but only to arrive to the expected utmost frustration with existing layouts. Namely, we ask the questions and consistently get the answers you see before you. The problem, in a nutshell, is that many of us began typing in English, French, or Dutch using common keyboard layouts, but when we try to type in Arabic one day, the key map is all different. For many computer users, keyboarding is a challenging learning process and it may take years to become comfortable with keying in text. When learning to type efficiently, typists familiarize themselves with two particulars about the keyboard layout of interest: the location of every letter key on the keyboard, and the proper hand finger to use to press that key. This is what is being highlighted in the figure shown. So, when typists are faced with the need to type in a different language, it is natural that they would like to take their typing knowledge with them. And this is the case among Latin-based languages such as Dutch, French, Italian, Norwegian, or Spanish to name a few, where if a user is familiar with the QWERTY layout for typing in English, for example, they can exploit their typing knowledge to seamlessly start typing in the QWERTY layout which is used in Switzerland and much of Eastern and Central Europe, or the AZERTY layout which is used in France and Belgium, for example. But when it comes to Arabic, typical layouts are completely different, and that's the dilemma. In Arabic language alone, the number of printable characters a typist needs available is 48, which is already overwhelming. Yet, the problem is further multiplied when a Latin layout typist wishes to type in Arabic. Simply, a new learning process of different key locations is necessary, without exploitation of previous typing knowledge. Here we see an example of a most widely used Arabic keyboard layout. We now list down some of the problems that hinder new typists from typing in Arabic. Obstacle 1. Same phonetic sound, different key locations. For example, the letters T, B, or K in English have the same phonetic sound as the letters Ta, Ba, or Kaf in Arabic, yet each one is designated a different key within its own layout. This leads to continuous typing errors and frustrations during typing. Obstacle 2. Same letter ligature family, but many locations to remember. For example, each of the letters Alif, Waw, and Ya come in several other modified forms. Yet, instead of each letter being considered an alias to the rest of its forms, the typist must memorize different key locations or different modes to producing such modified forms on the screen. Obstacle 3. Letters closely related, but at distance apart. The letters Dal and Dal are closely related, shape and sound, yet on some layouts they are assigned to keys that lie at opposite ends. A fourth problem with common Arabic keyboard layouts relates to the rearrangement of symbols such as parentheses, brackets, braces, and so on, which is extremely disturbing for typists who regularly use them. The same approach is implemented towards most of the punctuation keys and mathematical operators, unfortunately. A fifth obstacle is designating some of the number keys to produce some of the Arabic letters. Common mappings is 2, Hamza, 3, Ain, 5, Kha, and so on. This approach is mostly used for writing Arabic in Latin-derived characters and is not designed for typing in Arabic anyway. Adding a fourth typing row simply slows typing performance down. In the sixth obstacle, the Mac OS Arabic QWERTY keyboard layout employs extra modes to produce the 48 or more Arabic letters. Mode shift, an option. Correlation from Latin to Arabic and among Arabic characters is exploited. But first, letters like Alif and its modified forms is still scattered in several locations. Second, many letters have multiple accessing schemes such as Ain, Ghain, Ta, Qaf. And last, the top numbers row is used exhaustively for typing letters as well as numbers, which is not typically appropriate for touch typists. The mechanism for producing letters that differ in just one or more dots should be enhanced. 3 modes are simply overwhelming. The seventh obstacle is related to the overcluttering of key labels, reason being that overwhelming number of Arabic characters in relation to the number of letter keys. For example, we see that there are about 3 labels per key on the keys tha, qaf, and fa. If the relationship between Latin and Arabic characters is exploited, we could start seeing simpler, less cluttered designs. The 8th obstacle that prevents from letting hands type away freely and expressively in Arabic is when we write Arabic using Latin characters. Many of those who type in Arabic are used to typing on Latin-based keyboards, which means that typing in Arabic goes first through thinking about Latin-derived characters. And if this is not enough, then those Latin-derived characters that are typed either stay rendered in English or French or whatever the Latin flavor is, even in direction, or, and as we see in relatively modern applications, when the space character is added, we see the Latin characters removed and replaced by the Arabic transliteration or transcription. But these methods, with all their good intentions, are none but a confession to the unavailability of suitable Arabic keyboard layouts that shouldn't need intermediate converters or interpreters. So, when writing names like Kalthum, Muhammad, or Khalid for example, what's natural and straightforward is to think of the letters Mim Ha Mim Dal for Muhammad, Kaf Lam Tha Waw Mim for Kalthum, or Kha Alif Lam Dal for Khalid, and not the letters Mohammad for Muhammad, Kalthoum for Kalthum, or Khalid, or even 5ALID for Khalid. It is really not surprising the dearth of Arabic material on the internet. We believe the lack of suitable Arabic keyboard layouts, the main input mechanism to computers, is one of the most significant factors that contributes to such deficiency. Therefore, with all these obstacles, we need a new approach, and Intellark offers just that. Intellark is Intellaren's Arabic keyboard layout. It is patented under the PCT Act, in the US with USPTO, in Canada with SIPO, and several countries and regions in Europe and Asia. At this time, you can find and use Intellark on Intellaren's website pages and Intellyze, a desktop application designed by Intellaren to edit and/or analyze frequency of Arabic text. Plans of integrating Intellark with common text editors and as a part of operating systems are just starting. So who are Intellark's favorite typists? Typists already familiar with any Latin-based layouts can master Intellark in no time. This is because they can transfer their typing knowledge from their previous layouts, as is, to Intellark. Also suited are new typists with no background in typing in general. An advantage to all users is maximizing knowledge transfer when going from Latin layouts to typing in Arabic, and vice versa. Intellark keeps a new typist learning curve very flat, even at initial stage of learning, and that's by exploiting 1. The typist's previous knowledge of Latin alphabet keyboard layouts, 2. Knowledge of alphabetical order of blocks of letters in the Arabic alphabet. For example, Dal reminds of Dal, Sin reminds of Shin, and Sad is alias to Dad, Ta and Da. 3. Intuitive knowledge of the frequency order among letters of the same family. For example, Alif is more frequent than Alif with a Hamza above, which is more frequent than Alif with a Hamza below, and so on. We'll see supporting statistics soon. And finally, 4. The manner in which the letters within a single block are hand-stroked in Arabic. For example, if Dal takes 1 stroke to sketch on a paper, where 1 stroke indicates that a pencil needs to be placed on a paper only once for sketching the letter before lifting the pencil up, then Dal takes 2, the second stroke being in the form of a dot. Similarly, Dat takes 3 strokes and That takes 1 more. We will explain how such features are exploited in the Intellark tutorials. So, a new Intellark typist with some familiarity of a Latin-based keyboard layout would be able to type at a rate similar to that achieved on a Latin alphabet layout, and intuitively remember the location of majority of Arabic characters, even diacritics, or tashkil. Intellark's Latin to Arabic character mapping exploits many features such as phonetic similarity as we go from Latin letters to Arabic characters, phonetic and shape similarity among Arabic characters, frequency distribution of Arabic letters, and this is an important point in deciding the destiny of some characters. This next slide shows Arabic letters frequency distribution, sorted according to letter frequency. Analysis were conducted on over 1 million words that consist of over 5 million letters collected from various known Arabic texts. To make the point that such input size is reliable, we relate that the Quran consists of under 331,000 letters. Exact numbers and references are provided in the link shown above the table. So let's see how Intellark introduces a solution that is sensitive to the nature behind how the Arabic characters are stroked to make typing intuitive, and maximizes use of knowledge transfer from typing in Latin-based characters to typing in Arabic, and vice versa. And thank you for watching this presentation about Intellark.